All right. Well, on that note, we will be setting up for our next match here. It'll be winners finals coming up in just a little bit. And, of course, we'll see Starburst again. I mean, Rissa, what do you think? Do you think that there's going to be a team that can really top Starburst here? It's hard to tell.
You know, you hate to say it. You hate to say no, but I have hope. I want someone to at least give us a show. Maybe take a game off Starburst, something exciting for us. Because I mean, we've consistently seen Starburst throughout the Ink TV Resurgence League, just doing really, really good. Of course, at the end there, they weren't quite able to play as good as they were. But I think here in a LAN setting, I think it would be really hype. And of course, we have a huge crowd here.
Yeah.
That would be so hype for us all to watch.
I just actually took a look at the bracket to see what the other winner's semifinal result was, and it was Sonder able to take it 3-0 over Essence.
Oh, wow.
So Sonder might looking like they're able to come together a little bit.
Yeah.
I can't take credit for that match. I can't take credit for the 3-0. But I do think they're also a team that's actually relatively new to the LAN environment, too, right?
Yeah.
I think this is Henlo's first major LAN. This is like one of Scrub's, I think this is probably Scrub's like largest LAN, certainly. And Toast is like his second LAN too. While Shy might have been in a lot of these things, the rest of those players on that team haven't had a lot of the LAN experience. And I think that's one of the things that I've been trying to talk with them a little bit about is keep those nerves in check, right? You don't need to worry about all the bells and whistles. You don't need to worry about the lights, the cameras, all of this stuff that's going on. Just get in there, play your game.
Yeah.
They all know what they need to do, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of actually being able to execute it. And now I imagine those nerves are about to go up off the charts as they go up against Starburst on stage for Winners Finals. But look, I mean, in a situation like this, I think if you're Sonder or if you're any team that's playing Starburst in this tournament, you don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, right?
Like, what are you going to do? Right? It's Starburst. They're going to walk in and they're probably going to be the expected favorites. But, like, other than that, so what? So what? If you could take a game, that's great. Right?
That's what happened when my team was against Starburst. I played, like, 2 games. I subbed in. And I was kind of like, you know what? It's Starburst. I'm just going to have fun and just play. And, you know what? It was fun to at least play it and play against the top seed, even though we didn't win, obviously.
Right.
But it's just, they're Starburst. What can you do?
What can you do? It sounds like we're beating like a broken record, but how consistent this team is, right?
Yeah.
Goes well beyond their abilities within the past 2 weeks, right? We saw them struggle at the highest level of the game for the past 2 weeks. I was actually talking to Ice a little bit about that, and he was like, well, we haven't been having as much fun with the game lately, right? And so I think, without all of that happening, it might be something that they are kind of struggling, a little bit with in terms of that motivation, that ability to actually, find those practice times.
Yeah.
And I imagine, this one's going to be a fun event for them. Right?
Yeah,
they're coming together. They're hanging out together. They've got all their friends here, right? And I think there's going to be some of that too. But look, at the end of the day, especially in that kind of a league environment, that's a grueling format. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You think of, you have to have 12 maps down perfectly. Then you get surprised with which 3 modes you're playing, potentially, right? And you're going from there. But in any event, folks, we're about ready, and our teams are getting set up on the stage for Winners Finals. But before we have that, we're going to throw over to Stu, who's going to get the crowd pumped for action here before our Winners Finals match.
Thank you very much, K-Bot. Folks, no one said it was easy being at the top. Certainly Starburst feeling the heat right now. They are still in the hot seat, but this time, stakes are up. It's Winners Final. Their opposition, this time the 3 seed in the tournament. You know the name by now. It's a familiar matchup to all of us, but can they reverse the course of history and change what could be conceived as inevitable? Folks, here are they with the answer. The team of Shy, Toast, Henlo, and Scrub. I give to you Sonder. The stakes are even higher. A trip to Grand Finals is on the line. They're getting ready. K-Bot and Rissa are ready. But Texas, are you ready? Let's send it back to the desk.
We'll start getting the crowd a little bit more pumped up here as we start to get later and later in the tournament because, again, the race for second place is still going to be a fun one here. We'll see if Sonder can put a crack in the armor, though, especially now that we're heading over to a counter-pick format, Rissa, for the remainder here of top 4. So that should be fun. I think it's generally pretty traditional in terms of the counter-pick rules here, giving them a quick glance over. The team that loses will select the next map and mode combination, but they can't select any map and mode that suits the fact that it appears it has to be in the map pool, of course. It has to be practiced. They can't pick a mode that they've already won on within the match, and they can't pick a map they've already won on within the match. So, pretty standard stuff here in terms of the counter-picking rules. But we'll see what kinds of things and what kinds of things Sonder certainly thinks that they're strongest with.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you, as their coach, have a really good idea. Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I've got some ideas, but at the end of the day, I've also only been coaching them for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks is not much time at all, especially to really start to learn a team completely and then continue to help them improve. So I'm excited to see what they might show. I know what they've got to do, right? And I know how this team plays. Expect to see Henlo on that wiper, right? Henlo's going to be one of their main initiators, looking to try to dive in, and a lot of the rest of the team is built around trying to provide a little bit more support for Henlo and seeing what exactly he can do. So we'll see what happens here as we start coming in and putting this one together, because again, Starburst still looks as strong as ever, and they're not going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Absolutely. I think this counter-pick format is going to be really interesting too, because if, it seems like Sonder's been playing really well today if they're able to get here all the way to winners finals. So considering that there is a counter-pick format, maybe they're going to be able to adjust on the fly to something that maybe Starburst is doing in particular that they think they can counter in terms of a map, in terms of a mode, and that's always exciting, making those adjustments on the fly and just being able to play off of that. So I have faith here for Sonder that maybe they'll be able to utilize that to their advantage.
I will say, though, Game 1 is Tower Control Inkling Art Academy. There is not a map that is more Starburst favored, I think, in this map pool than Inkblot Tower Control. This team loves the Tower Control. Again, they set the pace, and that pace is the exact same pace that tower moves forward. They're able to get those crab tanks out. In this case, they might even decide to opt for like a double machine strategy here. But this team will continue to keep up the pressure, continue to keep up the aggression, and continue to just take more and more territory away from their opponents. And we've seen that time and time again in terms of when this team does play tower control. They look so incredibly comfortable.
Yeah.
So this first one, we'll see how it goes. But beyond that point, again, I do think now that we're in counterpick territory, Sonder might have the chance to look a little more competitive. But we'll see. We'll see what happens here, of course.
Yeah, of course. This first game, when I'm watching these games, I always like to say this first game is that feeler game where you get to put out your feelers and figure out, how the other team is playing, how you're playing against this team, and if there's anything moving forward that you can do to better yourselves moving forward. So as we head into Game 1 of Winners Finals, Inkblot Tower Control, let's go ahead and take a look at these weapons, K-Bot.
Rapid here, once again coming out of Brand, opting for that Inkjet, right? I think is most critical there. And then a little bit of that extra chip damage, which I imagine versus Machine and Wiper, and Crab for that matter, all going to be something to watch out for. I know this is something that Starburst has been looking and leaning in towards quite a bit. They think it's incredibly strong, and we'll see if they're going to be able to continue to slow down the pace of the game with that Rapid. As now we're seeing this engagement on the side here. We see Henlo and Toast come up with the trade onto one, gets one onto Brand here, and now able to get another onto Bagel. The Crab Tank is forced to run for the hills here, and it's Sonder looking like they're striking first.
Sonder striking first, able to take down all of the members of Starburst right away, get onto the tower, and now you see they're trying to use these tri-strikes to maybe push up and get into Starburst plat, but they have to be really careful. The members of Starburst are already there on their plat in their bats, and they're already ready for defense, though Sonder at least able to get through that first checkpoint. That's going to be really good for them moving forward.
Yeah, and now we'll say that first checkpoint, as you mentioned, able to get a little bit more of that confidence back, right? They know they can make a push, and now once they try to go for another push, they'll have the opportunity to continue getting even further along. But now, will they be able to hold off here, as it looks like Henlo dives in towards the member of Starburst, gets cleaned up pretty quickly, and now the specials coming out of Sonder aren't going to have a lot of anywhere to go, as Starburst clears past the first checkpoint of their own. But now you see that Crab Tank coming out. Toast now kind of caught between a rock and a hard place in that Booyah Bomb. Henlo goes down once again, and once Sonder starts to get disconnected from one another, you start to see them crumble a little more. Starburst has so much area here as they continue to push for him.
I do really like that Scrub jumped back there to make sure that they were able to regroup with their team. But with one member again going down for Sonder, it's not looking really good for them as they're just trying to figure out how to regroup really fast. Starburst, though, is not letting go of this pressure. They are pushed up on the right side. You see Ice actually was sharking around there under the Bat's ledge and just trying to keep up that area control that Starburst does so well. But throughout all of that, Sonder able to get back onto the tower. I love that they're already pushing up and trying to get paint. But Bagel has something to say about that, as Bagel just completely drops down with that splash and gets assists with multiple picks here.
Go, where did you even come from? Going on 4 splats in a row here. And that once again has enabled Starburst to push in, maintain their space. And now Sonder once again is just trying to dive in, trying to do everything they can to just hit some kind of a pick versus Starburst. But this team is playing so well together. They're playing off of one another so well, and they're continuing to keep up the pressure. Now the longest range inkjet shot there onto Shy, and once again all of this space continues to go to the favor of Starburst. And with Sonder so far spread out, Starburst can continue picking off these individual fights one by one. They're starting to approach this checkpoint here, and they're starting to approach knockout territory with a 3-down situation. Toast and Henlo trying to dive in, but that Crab Tank is out on the tower to secure it for Starburst as they take game 1.
Oh my gosh, right there at the end, I don't know if anyone watching this saw, but Biscuit had got all the way up like into Sonder's spawn on the right side. That actually completely funneled Sonder to go left into their bats. But, you know, with the rest of the members of Starburst having the synergy that they have, they knew that was happening. They knew the members of Sonder were going to get funneled into that left side. So they were just able to capitalize off of Biscuit just holding down that right side. And that was amazing team play there from Starburst.
Hey, Rissa, can I be honest with you? Coach Cable ain't too happy with that one.
Okay.
Not quite. Here we go. But look, so many of the members of Sonder, especially there at the very end of the game, there was like one member coming from bats, one member coming from like halfway between bats and spawn, and then one member dropping in from spawn. You're on 3 different areas of the map. Starburst looks at you once, and frankly, Starburst probably mechanically up there, you know. So they might have, one might say, so they might have the favor in some of those 1v1s, right? If they try to approach from too wide of angles and they're not trying to connect with one another, building up their specials and actually pushing back in, we're not going to see a lot of that happen. And that's one of the other things with Splatoon 3, at least the more that I think about it. Splatoon 3 is so much about pushing in with your specials. In Splatoon 2, a lot of the time, the specials did the pushing for you. You think of Tenor Missiles, you think of Ink Armor, you think of a lot of these other specials. You just pop the special, and then the enemy team's forced to run away, right? But in this instance, so much of the game is built around building up your own specials and then pushing in with those specials, getting your teammates set up well in order to try to challenge their opponents with even the slightest of like a vision advantage, the slightest ink advantage on the floor, and all of those things come in. We'll see the counter pick coming in from Sonder, and it is Rainmaker Scorch Gorge. I know they feel incredibly comfortable here. What are your thoughts as we head into game 2?
Well, hearing that you say that they feel incredibly comfortable here, I think is definitely a good sign. You know, this is why counter picks happen. You can pick these map and modes that you are comfortable with. You know that you have a game plan. You know that your team knows how to play around this map. So going into this, I'm really interested to see if Sonder is going to be able to utilize maybe the way that they started in that last game and play like that again throughout this game.
Tell you what, though, you want to talk about things being disruptive. That 96 gal out in Brand's hands is going to be incredibly disruptive, especially the second that it gets a Kraken able to run in. It's going to be really a matter of whether or not Sonder is going to be able to sniff that out ahead of time and prevent trades from happening, because that 2v2 on the left side of the map goes to the favor of Starburst, and they're already probably going to be looking for this first check.
Already looking for this first check, as there's another Crab again in mid, just pushing back the members of Sonder that are trying to come and defend this first pedestal here. Ice able to secure this first checkpoint, and now with 2 members down on Sonder, you can see Starburst is taking advantage of that, pushing forward, and they are grabbing the Rainmaker again to get even more points.
Booyah up in the air. It will stall out the Rainmaker temporarily, but already Scrub in the grab, and it gets completely demolished by the Kraken. Brand comes up with another assist and then dives back for the Rainmaker to get just a few extra points on the board for Starburst. Getting it all the way down to this 33-point mark sets Starburst up incredibly well for the rest of the game, and now all they've got to do really is hold on to mid. Then if they give up mid, they just got to hold on to their side of the map around that corner in that first checkpoint area, and so this is going to be a tough hill to climb for Sonder.
Sonder here trying to do everything they can to get back into mid, but I mean, with the way that Starburst is just holding mid, I just keep seeing consistent crabs coming out from Starburst too. They are just making sure that they are not letting go of mid. Even though the Rainmaker did reset, they're just holding mid with the crab tanks that they have and the aggression that they have. Now, once again, 3 members down on Sonder. Sonder really having to figure out how to regroup here. Look at this. The members of Starburst are pushed up all the way into their spawn.
Brand's already going in with the Kraken again here, completely sweeping things out, forcing the members of Sonder to drop down, and now they're in firefights in blue territory. It's all Starburst for now as it's 3 down for Sonder. Booyah Bomb comes out trying to stall things out, but it doesn't pick off the Rainmaker because the members of Sonder are still trying to come back in from spawn. Now they're dropping in with the spawn armor, but again, it's not enough. They're trying to go for the picks here. They're trying to get a little bit scrambled, but they're not able to fully come away with these things, and so Starburst has continued to control the pace of the game, even on Rainmaker, which is another mode, Rissa, that they've looked incredibly strong on, and you're seeing why here.
I really like that, the way you said that, because definitely Starburst is controlling the pace of this. They are just...
Brand again! Just dives right in with the Kraken. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's exactly what Brand's doing. It's disrupting things by cutting things off with these Krakens once again, rotating now all the way back out to drop in, and even if Brand doesn't come up with any picks, it forces the members of Sonder to run away.
Yeah, the members of Sonder they're really scrambled, you know. They're just consistently trying to figure out what areas they need to take. They're trying to figure out who they need to focus on. They're trying to figure out how to utilize their specials best, because Starburst is taking control of the right side of the map. They're taking control of that left side of the map. They are holding mid with these crabs consistently, like we see Bagel here using a crab in mid, and Sonder is just really jumbled right now. They just need to figure out who to focus, group up together, and then maybe they can make something happen.
Crab Tank here comes out of ice, shuts things down. There's nothing to challenge it right now out of Sonder on that top side, and now the rest of the members are sweeping through. You see Biscuit take the 1v1 versus Shy. Will get traded out by Toast here nonetheless, but again, the middle of the map now back to the hands of Starburst, and Sonder only pushed this down to 97 for all that trouble here. They're just struggling to completely wipe Starburst off of the map because of how this team recognizes the positions that they need to take, and they know here that they don't have to push this at all if they don't want to. They are perfectly comfortable stalling this one out for as long as they can, and with Bagel dropping there, that Rainmaker is going to be difficult to drop on back down to.
That Rainmaker is in such an awkward spot for Sonder to figure out how to get to, because it's in this left corridor, and Sonder, with all the mid control that Starburst has, Starburst is just going to be able to almost essentially puppy guard this little area. Sonder having to figure out how to get into mid, how to even pop the Rainmaker, and just figure out how to regroup here in the last 50 seconds of this.
50 seconds here left to go. You see Scrub out here and trying to take rid of some of these members, and will end up getting the bump onto ice. You're starting to see Sonder work together as a team here, but what will they be able to target first, especially with Starburst playing so passively, and now out of specials, Toast tries to run in, but is met with 3 of the members of Starburst, and still Sonder is having a difficult time establishing themselves because they haven't found a lot of these engagements. Now Henlo pops the stamp, gets Brand, which is going to mean they won't have to worry about the Kraken for at least a little while, but with 20 seconds to go, Sonder's got to make a move fast.
Sonder here is popping the Rainmaker, and they are going to go ahead and grab the Rainmaker. They know that they have to grab the Rainmaker as we go into the last 11 seconds of this. As they start trying to at least push through that first checkpoint, there are members of Starburst here on the left side. They have it completely locked down. They're grabbing the Rainmaker. You know what? They're going to jump it off too while they're at it, and they go ahead and take the game.
Starburst having a little party on the side of the map there, having a little bit of fun, enjoying themselves. But once again, like, look, you start to get towards the end of the game, you start to get anxious, you start to get nervous, you start to get stressed, and all of a sudden, Starburst is just able to pick off any little one of those impurities in your playstyle so beautifully well. They've done it for so long. They've done it so consistently as this team all together, playing together for, what has it been, like a year and a half, 2 years, something of the sort. I've lost track, honestly, of how long this team's been playing together and how long they've been at the top for. Because again, it's that consistency and its ability to pick off any single one of what's going on that is the key there. I do not know what just happened on the other side of the venue.
I don't either.
But whatever it is, we should figure that out because that sounded exciting.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone at home can hear the crowd, but there's a set happening way in the back there. You can see it way in the back.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we hear, yeah, just cheering really, really loud.
I actually think most people are probably watching that set instead of watching this one because they probably understand what's going on. Oh, okay, we're getting an update here. It's Last Resort versus In Control in Game 5.
Oh, my goodness.
Right now is what's going on, which is exactly probably what we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
There are like 7 teams that are all right around one another, all gunning for second. And it's all of these kinds of sets that are so incredibly close with one another. And again, folks, I know this might not be the most interesting set to watch in the world, but as we get further along in this bracket, you will want to be along for the ride, especially with the LAN energy and the environment. As we start bringing more of these matches over to the stream, things are going to continue to heat up.
Yeah, so once those sets all in the back that are happening that we heard the cheering happen from, once those end up slowly closing out and the top 4 teams start being figured out, that's when all the crowd comes and sits here and everyone's going to sit here and watch that, and that's when the crowd gets so hype and everything just really, really gets so exciting, especially like K-Bot said, the teams here that are in the top 6, 8, 4, they're all so close, and I honestly don't know what's going to happen here.
There are probably multiple coin flips that are just going to happen. But now let's turn our attention here back to the game. It's counterpicked to now Sonder. They go to Splat Zone's Flounder Heights, which is interesting to me for a lot of reasons. But I think most notably, I'll say that out of any map probably, it seems like Starburst struggles a little bit with Flounder especially. I think they probably have solid ideas of what they want to run, but their core style of that double crab, that thing that they always default to, doesn't work as well here, right?
Yeah.
There are some sightlines for the crab. It's useful to get it set up on those high points on the zone, but all the meanwhile, right, it's not as useful to have those double crabs, and it's very difficult to engage with those crabs, especially on this map. So we'll see what Sonder is going to pull out here, as it's going to be the Reflux double machine coming out of the other side, and Shy is going to match that Reflux.
Ooh.
I know this is a weapon that he's been really hyping up here recently, and we'll see if it pays off and if he can win it versus here one of the best anchors in the world.
You know what? When we saw Starburst play this against Smoothie, Ice had actually come out with a ballpoint, so switching over to that Reflux, and we are going to see so many missiles, I'm sure, coming out from both sides here, as initially Starburst taking control of the zones very dominantly, actually, and taking one member of Sonder with them.
Yo, we were 9 seconds into the game, and both Reflux players had missiles popping in. That's just the kind of game we're going to be playing today. Okay, so be it. Looks like 2 members are going to go down here, and now Henlo's starting to move forward here for Sonder. Is going to be able to find the cap here, and so stopping the bleeding early here is going to be good for Sonder. But again, can they continue to establish themselves? It's going to be difficult to do that with these missiles coming out, especially as we don't see a lot of missiles all of the time, but this is something that Starburst can also capitalize on. They've practiced this quite a while, and so we'll see what the response potentially is.
As Ice there was painting around for those missiles, the rest of the members of Starburst able to take down 3 members of Sonder. Now Starburst once again pushing forward, and they're playing the same way that we saw them play with against Smoothie. The members of Starburst sit back but kind of have Biscuit push up a little bit into that ramp and be the aggressive presence. You can see Starburst here is actually, it looks like they're waiting for specials in order to push forward even further, and that's exactly what they're doing here.
And now we're seeing this continue to come in. It's already 3 down once again for Sonder, and the specials are just the icing on the cake to make Shy go even further away. Shy's going to get one cheeky one on the brand for the road here, but still, Sonder's got a long way to go to actually find their way to re-engage into both of these zones, because remember, Starburst just wants to keep really one of these zones. They're okay giving away one here, because it's all the way to the other side of the map that Sonder's got to go, and with Henlo going down already on that stamp, here comes the missiles to try to follow things up. They're starting to get it, but look at Biscuit sharking here and might be trying to engage on this one. Shy now tries to jump down, but you cannot do that versus Biscuit. Biscuit's going to be able to come up with one here, and the rest of the members of Sonder get pulled back. But again, that's even more space for Starburst to continue to come in. And while they might have temporarily give away the penalty, it looks like they might be able to maintain their presence here.
That was that was a really important moment for Sonder. You know, even though Biscuit was flanking around, there was just kind of that moment of, okay, we can cap the zones here. Let's make sure we at least utilize that, and then we'll focus on that flank later. Even though the flank ended up taking them down, it was really important that they at least got the cap and gave those penalty points over to Starburst. That way they could figure out how to regroup again. Now with one member going down on Starburst, specials come out from Sonder, and this could be, again, another cap that they really need to happen.
2 down out of Starburst here. You saw that Booyah go to the other side of the map, and now Henlo's starting to make his presence known on the opposite side here as well. The caps are finally going to come through, and the penalty is once again applied. But now, can Sonder hold? They don't have a lot of holding specials here, Rissa, like at all. I was talking a little bit about stabilization. Without these crab tanks here, probably don't have access to some of those, and now it's just going to enable Starburst to run in and take care of business. As now Sonder goes 2 down, looks like able to get 1 back the other direction onto Biscuit. That'll be big here, but now with these trip strikes coming out, will they be able to cause enough chaos? Will they be able to sweep back through the rest of this map? Looks like Ice forced to jump away here as well, and Sonder's going to hold on temporarily, but again, are they going to be able to continue winning in these engagements versus this mechanically strong team?
Good question here. As we see, you know, you saw Toast there starting to try and push up a little bit, but as the members of Starburst were right there, you know, Sonder did back up. They knew that they had a few specials ready. They want to make sure they save those for defense, and it looks like it's actually working out great for them. They are able to stay back, hold their zones, now cap the zones once again, use their specials, and get a complete wipe here onto Starburst. Starburst having to completely regroup back in their spawn.
I did not know how Henlo got down there and picked up 2, but he did, and that opened up the window of opportunity for Sonder to continue coming back. But now it's 2 down the other direction once again, as Starburst doesn't even care about the fact that you nearly got a delayed wipe. They're going to continue to come right back in, and now they pick off members 1 by 1 across the map. It's Starburst now in complete control.
This is exactly what Starburst does. They do not let stress get to them. They do not get anxious. They just take a deep breath. They know that they can regroup. They know that they know each other's play style and know how to play around each other. So Starburst doing exactly that. They are back once again in the last 30 seconds here in control of the zone. And again, we're seeing them doing that play style here on Flounder, where they don't push up too far. They just sit back, throw out bombs, get their specials ready for defense, and hold these zones.
Now, 20 seconds left to go. Sonder has got to make a move, but they're running out of specials to do it. That Stamp is not going to be able to engage much here, but we'll see if Henlo can come up with anything. No, immediately gets popped down now. It's a 3-down situation for Sonder, and it's 3 games down for them as well. Starburst will continue to be completely perfect in the tournament so far and punch their ticket to Grands.
Wow, I didn't even, you know, think about that in that sense. Starburst not losing a game so far in this tournament. They are just sitting pretty here now as they have locked their ticket into grand finals. Now, throughout this tournament, we're going to have to go through losers' side of the bracket and see who is going to be the team that will meet Starburst in grand finals.
Well, maybe it'll be Sonder again. And if it is Sonder again, you all get the pleasure of seeing me walk back and forth on stage to them all of the time and trying to figure out if I can find a way to beat this team. Because I don't know what the answer is there. Honestly, again, this team looks so strong, and they don't let anything get to them, right? Yeah. You would think that in some cases there might be some level of anxiety or pressure, especially when you get a delayed wipe against you, but being able to just completely walk back into things and not be afraid at all is what this team does so well, and we've talked about it so many times. We've seen Bagel come up with plays today. We've seen Biscuit come up with plays today as well. Those multi-kills that go to their favor. And all of a sudden, it's this team that just flips that momentum on a dime, establishes themselves and sets the pace, and it makes them nearly impossible to completely topple.
Yeah, something about just everything you highlighted and just the synergy that Starburst has. And like at the end of that game, you talked about, they do not get anxious. They do not, you know, they know that they can just take a breath and regroup with each other. They do not let little things get to them.
Yeah, so we'll see, you know, what happens here. But we do have some bracket updates that I think are probably something that a lot of folks are interested in. In the last losers round, it was we mentioned off stream, for all that screaming and yelling, everything that happened down there. I imagine that was the Game 4 victory that happened for Red Sun. But Last Resort was able to knock them out in Game 5, took care of that one. That's 3-2. And Last Resort now will be playing against Smoothie in their losers quarterfinal match. We saw Smoothie earlier today. Again, both these teams, I think that'll be a really fun matchup to watch.
Yeah.
On the other side of the losers bracket, it was Cherry Limeade versus Dragonfruit. your team, Rissa, and I'm sorry that I have to give you the news. Cherry Limeade 3-0'd your team.
Oh, no.
So that's fine. Cherry Limeade will be going up against Essence for the other losers quarterfinal, and I believe the plan, folks, is that both of those matches are going to come in on stream here. So we'll get to watch both losers quarters here. Now, at this point, you'll be able to watch every single match for the rest of the tournament on stream. So that should be a lot of fun here as we continue to come through with this bracket, because again, the rest of these, I think, Rissa, are going to be a lot of fun to watch for.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to send it on over to Stu, who looks like he's standing by with someone who might have a few words for the stream.
Thank you, K-Bot. I am joined here by Brand. First of all, congratulations, Starburst, making it onto the grand finals.
Thank you, appreciate it. This crowd's been amazing. Thank you, Texas.
Deep in the heart of Texas, and indeed, the stars of Splatoon shining big and bright. No more bigger than Starburst. Unbeaten, haven't dropped a single game. Is this about the path that you expected going into grand finals?
Yeah, I think we put a good bit of prep into this tournament. We've been working hard for this one. We know that we can easily win this if we're just focused up, locked in, and we've put in a lot of time.
It's certainly a group that you're familiar with, but also at the same time, last year, it was Keo sitting in your seat, and yet somehow this group is attaining even more success than prior. Is this just like a chemistry thing? I mean, what's going on, man? Y'all got the tech rolling up here and everything.
I think we knew that this roster had a ton of potential from the get-go. We first started trying things out towards the end of 2021 after like the Fresh 4 time. But we put a lot of effort into this roster and just grinding everything out together with us four, and it's paying off.
I mean, 2 of the 3 games were knockouts. The other one you won by 69 points. I can only imagine that was calculated.
Yeah, we're feeling good.
What can we say? They just got swagger like that, but I do have one final question. Whoever's waiting for you in grand finals, do you have any words for them?
Get ready.
That's all that needs to be said, folks. Give it up for Brand, K-Bot, Rissa. Back to you.